So we're going to keep moving. Parents, we've been doing a series called Characters in the Story, or From the Story. Last week, Brittany brought the message talking about Elizabeth and Zechariah. They were aunt and uncle of baby Jesus. So tonight we're going to move on with the story, talking about Mary and Joseph themselves. But we're going to focus on a different part of the story than what normally gets talked about. So about the couple, the two of them were engaged to be married. They were ready, they were doing all the stuff, they were getting ready to be married, and then an angel comes to Mary and says, "Hey, you're going to have the Son of God." And she was kind of like, "Whoa, what do you mean? I'm a virgin, I'm about to get married, how am I going to have a kid? That's not how it works." But the angel comforted her, calmed her down, and she was excited. There's even a song that Mary sings in the Bible, but we're not going to get into that tonight. If you want to look it up, it's pretty cool. Joseph's response. As someone that's only been married a couple years, I could not imagine what it would be like if Brittany came up and was like, "Hey, by the way, I'm having a kid and we're not married yet." I'm like, "What?" So Joseph, doing the understanding thing, plans to quietly leave Mary. He doesn't want to make a big scene. He doesn't want to cause any shame on her or her family, or shame on his family. And while he's still deciding what to do, he takes a nap, goes to sleep, and an angel comes to him and he's like, "Hey, this is God's plan. You need to stay with Mary." He's like, "Oh, okay, this is weird, but I'll trust you, God, because you just sent an angel to me in my dream." So he follows what God wants, and he plans to continue to marry Mary. That's a weird sentence to practice. But Joseph is like, "Yes, I'm going to marry my bride. She's going to be my bride. We're going to have a family. We're going to have the Son of God. We'll see how this goes." So starting in Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken over the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Caesar was taking a census. He wanted to figure out how many people were in his land. In all reality, he just wanted to tax everyone and get more money and make sure that everyone was paying their taxes. And so, naturally, Joseph and Mary, they have to go back to Joseph's house, because in that time, you went up the line of the dad, of the father, the husband. And so they had to go back to a little town of Bethlehem, because Joseph is from the line of David, the David and Goliath David. So the story continues in verses 4 and 5. It says, "So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child." So Joseph and Mary go. They had to go to Joseph's homeland, and it was about an 80-mile trip on donkey with a pregnant fiance. That sounds terrible. Because she's not just a little baby while pregnant, she's the close to popping pregnant. Which is one of the reasons why Joseph didn't leave her by himself, or by herself. She would have been alone. She probably would have been made fun of. People would have probably started talking, "Oh, Joseph left you." But Joseph's like, "No, I'm going to take my wife with me. I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to do the right thing. And the donkey's going to do all the heavy lifting." So Luke chapter 2, verses 6 and 7 say, "While they were there, the time came for a baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for them." Did you guys catch that last line? This is what we're going to kind of hone in for a little bit. She was about to give birth, and there was no guest room available for them. It wasn't that they couldn't get a hotel room. They didn't have hotels back then. There was no guest room with their family. David's family said, no, you can't stay here. You're about to have a kid. So the no room available was David's family saying no to them. How many of you guys have ever gone on a family vacation where all the kids have to sleep on the floor or on the couches or anything like that? Yeah, you guys, most go on that kind of a vacation, or you stay at grandma's house. My family used to do giant sleepovers where we all slept on grandma's back living room area, and one kid would fight for the recliner, and I'd kick someone off the couch, and it was a fight for the best spots. And it kind of looked like that, where people are just laying all over the floor. Because that's just kind of what you do on family vacations. That's what you do. You take care of your family. You don't kick them out. But for legal reasons, the Bible defends it. Because had Mary given birth, apparently childbirth is messy. I don't know, I've never seen it. That's a joke, you guys can laugh. But it would have made everyone in the house unclean. Because childbirth is messy. And so for that reason, they were able to justify saying no to Mary and Joseph. They were saying, no, you guys gotta go find someone else to sleep. You guys gotta go find someone else to stay. We can't risk everyone getting married, getting dirty. We can't have the inconvenience of being unclean. So think about, how do you guys think Mary and Joseph felt then? Go ahead, raise your hand if you got a thought. What do you think, Wes? What? Ticked off. Exhausted. Yeah, they just made an 80-mile trip and their family saying, no, you gotta find someone else to stay. Hurt? Yeah. You gotta use your eyebrow, Wes, Billy.
Feeling horrible and bad at them.
Yeah, really bad? Yeah, I'd be mad. So there's the legal reasoning, but eventually they're like, all right, well, there's this one place where sheep are born that you could probably go. It's probably the cleanest place to try to have a kid. And the name of that place is nativity. And that's the place where Jesus was born. It wasn't a pretty little stable. It was something kind of made out of rocks, because that's what they had in Bethlehem. They didn't have a ton of trees to build with. But the cool thing, nativity is where lambs were raised to be sacrificed. So they would have the sheep, they'd have the baby, and the shepherds would wrap it up tight so that it couldn't hurt itself, it couldn't break its ankle, it couldn't get muddy and dirty. And they'd place it in a manger so that no imperfections could happen. And this is where baby Jesus is born. In the place where the final sacrifice was born. Nativity. Jesus was born where the lambs were born to be sacrificed. And then, 30 years later, Jesus lives a perfect life. He has 0 imperfections. And he dies, paying the ultimate sacrifice, paying for each one of our sins. And I just think that's a cool little thing that I found out a couple years ago, is that even after Joseph and Mary do what God calls them to do, because God tells both of them, like, hey, you're going to have this kid. There's going to be some hard points. You're going to have to raise the Son of God. You're going to have this kid before you're married. And they say, all right, God, we're going to trust you. We're going to do what you want us to do. And then they travel 80 miles trying to follow the law, and their family rejects them. Even if it is justifiable, the family says, no, we can't have the inconvenience of being unclean. But God still used them. God still set up all of the things in the Old Testament, all the prophecies that said that Jesus was going to be born in Bethlehem. Jesus was going to be born in the line of David. Jesus was going to be born and be the ultimate sacrifice. He sets up this beautiful imagery of Jesus being born in nativity. So what I want you guys to think about, we're going to get ready, we're going to move into small groups. But whatever you're doing, think like Mary and Joseph. Make sure you're doing what God is calling you to do. Whether that's to play sports, or to try a new sport, or to play an instrument, or doing well in school. God wants you to do well in school. Or maybe it's to go talk to the new kid at lunch, or talk to the new person at work, or whatever it is. Make sure you're listening to what God is calling you to do. Second one, even when people reject you, keep going in what God's going to call you to do. Because there's going to be times where people are like, I don't know if we're cool anymore. I've had family members block me on Facebook, block me on Instagram. unfollow me, refused to talk to me at family functions. Me and Brittany went home for Thanksgiving, and I was watching a football game, and she went back to hang out with some of my cousins, and they're, aren't you supposed to go hang out with Derek? And they just kind of like shunned her from that group of the family. That made me really mad. I didn't find out about it until after they left, which is lucky for them. But people are going to reject you when you do what God calls you to do. The Bible talks about that over and over again. We see it with Joseph and Mary. They don't want to be, people don't want them to be an inconvenience by getting the rest of them unclean. The last thing is, God's going to use you for things that you can't imagine if you focus on God and not the other people. If you keep your eyes on what God wants you to do, even if it's weird, even if it's awkward, even if it's something you never dreamed of, God's going to use you. But you got to keep your eyes on Him. So I'm going to pray. We're going to head to small groups. God, thank you so much for this night. Thank you so much for this story of Mary and Joseph, and even though they were rejected by their family, they were used by you. Once that you bless our time tonight, bless our small groups. In your name we pray.